Hi, this is Michael Uslan. You're listening to Batman on Film.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take this anymore!
Plug you in, my tuning the frequency. Jett and the crew, they got the remedy. Discussing bats and all his legacy. Mike is silent. Welcome to the social hour. We're talking gospel, flying power. Looking to feel the protest, got the keys to the Batmobile. Lights go down the shelter about the storm. Jealous wisdom striking like a dawn. From down the ways of harm. We're in deep, not sleep. Welcome to the social hour. Exploring Gotham's darkest hours. Tune in, feel the charge. Jett set the helm with going large.
Welcome to the Social Hour, just like the song says, Ron Lauer. Welcome to the Social Hour, a Batman on Film podcast, batman-on-film.com. Don't forget the dashes. I already mentioned, well, first of all, this is episode number 203. 203. Ron Lauer's with me. Let's ride. Ron Lauer.
That's what I was waiting for.
You're back.
I was waiting for it. Let's ride.
Yeah, you're back in the back in the sidecar.
Thank you. I was
whatever
back in
it
the
is.
sidecar.
Sidecar, back seat, shotgun, whatever. You know what's coming. 220, 221, whatever it takes.
On the top, like Aquaman, you know?
Yeah.
My man. I don't know. But anyways,
yeah.
Here I am.
So, yeah, this is Social Hour. And I am merely Bill Ramey, founder of Batman on Film. And, merely. We got some good stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
Some good stuff to talk about. Great article.
Batman
interview.
stuff.
Yeah, Batman stuff. Really, Batman stuff. And let's just get to it. Let's just cut to the chase. I know everybody loves and anticipates the witty banter, but we got stuff to talk about.
Yep.
I'm sure some witty banter will pop up at some point.
I was going to say,
All right.
maybe Woody Banner will pop up between the talking points.
Sure. No, it finds a way. It finds a way. I have been known a time or two to go on to think of something right in the middle of talking about something and go off on a tangent.
Mm-hmm.
Every once in a while, a couple times,
Yep.
right? That's just a couple times.
Yeah.
So
This is your safe zone. You can go on those rants. We'll get
Yeah.
back on the highway.
All right. So let's ride. Let's ride. All right. Little Batman movie news. Clayface has its lead actor. I have no clue who he is. Don't know anything, unless I've just didn't know that I was watching something he was in. I'm not familiar with him. Tom Reese, I believe, is
Tom Reese Harris. I think he's one with the 3-name deal. Tom Reese Harris, I think.
Okay. Sorry, Tom Reese.
220, 221.
Yeah. Sorry. Tom. Okay.
There we go. Just go with Tom.
Tom has been cast as Clayface, which I'm gonna tell you, Ryan.
No.
I'm intrigued by this project, even though it's DCU and not Reeves verse, which I think it started off Reeves verse and then has morphed into DCU, and it's probably the reason why Matt Reeves is producing it. But the premise of it, it's, an actor. It reminds me of a little bit of that Batman Cape Crusader episode with Clayface, where he's using something that ends up, it's kind of a combination of the Basil Karlo and then the shape-shifting Clayface. And and they go into the horror route here, I'm intrigued and interested in seeing what they do. So where are you at on Clayface?
Okay. Like honestly, I know Pete said before he's on the route of like he's not interested in let's just keep making these villain movies, solo movies sort of deal.
Yeah.
It could go the route of what Sony's done with their Spider-Verse villains of it's a little laughable and it's just not interesting. And the only reason these villains exist is because they go up against the hero. And so I understand that as well. Just because it was Joker was announced didn't mean that I was instantly on board. It was as soon
Well,
as they
yeah.
showed the screen test that like as soon as I saw something,
Yeah.
then that like is where I was like, oh, okay, this is intriguing to me. I
For
kind of
the
expect the
record, you
same.
you you liked the original Joker,
I
right?
like the first Joker. I didn't care for the second.
Okay, I'm with you. I like you. I was going like, why do a Joker? I don't want to know the origin of the Joker. And
Hmm.
then I saw Joker, and I went, okay, it's pretty brilliant. And then the
But
second
like I
one
didn't.
I didn't like, and I thought the second one ruined the magic trick. What was great about the first one? Not to get into a Joker conversation, but anyway,
There you go. There's your sidetrack.
yeah,
All right, Joker. So this is where they went wrong with the sequel.
yeah,
But I expect kind of to be the same way with Clayface. So I don't know this actor. Don't know him.
yeah,
Haven't seen anything that he's been in. I have no opinion of him other than he's a professional actor that seems to be working, constantly working.
yeah,
Okay. Um, Gunn even said he and Matt Reeves both were
yeah. That
involved in
yeah,
casting him,
yeah,
which I think should be another sign to shut up people that like to say that Gunn and Matt Reeves are, going toe to toe and like they're
hmm,
combating and all that. Like, no, apparently they were working together in the same room throughout the casting process of this.
yeah,
Um, I'm like, okay, it's another step along. Eventually we'll see something. And when I see something, I'll start to form more of an opinion. I'm not I'm not against it, but I'm not like, I'm so excited, Bill. I can't wait. I just can't
yeah.
wait. It's
Okay, I guess
waiting
like I
for there's
said,
something to be excited about or to have form
I
an opinion.
was I am intrigued by the
Yeah.
premise. I'm
Yeah.
intrigued that Mike Flanagan wrote the first draft of the script. I know nothing about the director, so I can't comment to that.
He he did I think the See No Evil, was it the remake?
Okay.
And then or the original. I can't really remember. Um, let's see, I'm pulling it up right now. James Watkins? Is
Yeah.
that the name? Okay. I'm looking at his filmography. And he did a movie called so he did the Speak No Evil remake last year, which I really liked. You said before he did The Woman in Black, which you liked.
Oh,
I've never
okay.
seen it.
Yeah, I did like that. Okay, there you go.
And then a movie called Eden Lake that I watched last year,
Okay.
which was good, but like definitely like a dark and just not a happy movie. And
Yeah.
Speak No Evil um, is, it's kind of a tense, not exactly happy like movie. So it's like even though they're movies that aren't like, yay, happiness, the
Yeah.
fact that the approach to this movie is horror and this
Yeah.
guy's doing it, and I've seen two movies that he's done before, that intrigues me too because I am a horror fan.
Yeah.
And so that like things are coming along and coming out that are keeping me interested in this movie at least, which is
Yeah.
at this stage all that you can do. Also, it's not even important if I didn't even know about it by now because the movie's still over a year away.
Yeah.
Um, but like then the Clayface deal, and not to hijack your podcast, the the type of Clayface of what he's going to be, it sounds similar to kind of what we saw with Caped Crusader, like you just mentioned.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think I've gone back to even if they dip a little bit more towards fantastical, it's like in the end, is the movie good? That's kind of where I am with a lot of stuff anymore.
Yeah.
I don't have a stick up my butt about like, well, it needs to be realistic. Because did you see the Invisible Man
Yeah.
remake in 2020?
Yes. Yeah. It was great.
That is like, yeah, and is that extremely believable? No. But
Yeah.
the movie was great. I thought the movie was great. And it reminded
Yeah.
me of the animated series episode See No Evil, where a guy basically did that.
Yeah.
That's leaning a little fantastical, but it totally worked for the movie. And I'm like, I don't maybe take a page out of that for this Clayface. I'm completely fine. They just keep going because Gunn said too that the script was really effing good.
Yeah.
Okay, like cool. Stay tuned, I guess. I'm not turned off by it.
Yeah. I mean, for Matt Reeves to develop it as part of something that was going to be Reeves verse, which meant there would not have been shape shifting Clayface.
Hmm.
And then to say, you know what, we need to change this, and it would probably fit better with as a DCU project. Okay, I'm good. I'm intrigued. We'll see what
Yeah,
happens.
yeah.
All right, all right. And I don't mind the villain movies as long as they're good. I don't
Just
need
give
to
me a
have
good movie, and I don't
yeah.
care.
It doesn't bother me. I mean, the Penguin was a villain series, and it was
Hmm.
kick ass. The original
Hmm.
Joker I like quite a lot actually. Um, I mean, I'm
Did you watch the Alfred series?
you know what? I did not
I didn't
because
either. It's
it was. I don't think I had access to it when it first came out. Wasn't it actually like on Axis or whatever,
was it? I
AXS?
thought it was.
I don't know.
I don't. It was something. I'm not even
It
gonna
was
try and
something
guess
I
what it
didn't
was. It
have
was something
to be
weird.
able to watch
Hmm.
it. So, you know,
But since it dropped on Max too, it's kind of funny because that's just one where it's like Alfred, maybe the second most important character in Batman history, right?
hmm
And it's like at no point ever has that caught my interest that I've wanted to even give it a chance. Not at all.
yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. They can't explain it. That should be one just because of his placement, alongside Bruce Wayne. I should have been interested in, but never, not at all. So it's
Well,
not
I would say
just
I wasn't
because it's,
interested. I wasn't interested enough to find a way to get access to it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So
yeah.
whatever.
But anyways,
Maybe it's something I'll check out or binge at some point, but it's
I
not.
won't.
It's.
Like,
I mean, I say
I
that,
just know I'm
and
not
and
going
and,
to.
and probably in reality, probably won't. All right.
Yeah,
All right. So, all right. James Gunn.
I've
James
heard of him.
Gunn. Yes. Director of the upcoming Superman, director of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies for Disney / Marvel Studios in the MCU and a bunch of other stuff. Peacemaker, The Suicide Squad, which was a DC, yes, it was a DCEU movie. It was not part of this
It
DCU.
was.
Well, it is now because when you're the boss, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a new Superman, but you know what? I'm gonna keep my characters from Peacemaker in there, and just because I want to. Anyway,
Yeah.
um, he did a interview with Rolling Stone, which I thought was really good.
It's very,
And,
long.
yeah, and you know, uh, it's about him as with DCU and what the plan is, but a lot of Batman in it. A lot of Batman in it. So let's just delve in and we'll give our takes. 'Cause that's what we do here, right? So
Hmm.
um he is asked by Rolling Stone, they ask him, you once said the fact that Robert Pattinson's Batman is not in this universe was Matt Reeves's choice. Does that mean if it were up to you, you would have just pulled that into your universe? Um, and he's been asked this before. I think
Hmm.
he's answered
I
on
was saying,
social
I think you
media.
and I have talked about this before.
Yeah. And he said it would be a consideration. We'd have to think about it. We'd have to think about it. It is not like we never discussed it. And so, my take is and was, of course, they discussed it. They
Yep.
had to discuss every scenario, every possibility. Um, you know, the Batman hiring Reeves, the conception of the film and what it was going to be was before the Discovery purchase of Warner Brothers, where then it was mandated we're going to have our shared universe by God no matter what, and they hired James Gunn and Peter Safran to head up DC Studios. So here comes the Batman. It's a big success. Here comes the Penguin, which is a spinoff. It's a big success. I get why it would make things a lot easier for James Gunn, I think, if Robert Pattinson, they just took Reeves as Batman and incorporated it in that world into the greater DCU. But as he said here, as the question, the guy who asked a question from Rolling Stone, is that you've said, that the reason why it's not happening is because Matt Reeves doesn't want this. And Gunn has said that. So it shows me Gunn respects Matt Reeves enough to say, okay, we got it. We got it. And I also don't think Pattinson, what Reeves is doing with Robert Pattinson's Batman, his Batman, really Reeves' Batman, right? Robert Pattinson's just the actor bringing it to life. It was always intended to be its own thing in its own world and not exist in a shared universe. I don't blame Matt Reeves for saying I don't want to, no, that's okay. Christopher Nolan didn't want it. Christopher Reeves, I'm doing,
Yeah.
Reeves. It's like to the two Batman directors. Anyway, I get it. Your thoughts?
He had to discuss Robert Pattinson's Batman.
100%. Yes.
He had to discuss
Not a
Gal
shocker.
Gadot's Wonder Woman. He had
Yeah.
to discuss Zachary Levi's Shazam. Like Captain Marvel, sorry. He had to discuss Jason Momoa's Aquaman. Like
Yeah.
he had to discuss Henry Cavill's Superman. Like go down the list of
There had
anybody.
to
Ezra
be.
Miller's Flash.
Yeah.
Like every property he has to discuss. And like that's something that's really funny, but it's just because it just shows you in a backwards way how big Batman just is. Period.
Yeah.
Somebody sneezes and says Batman at James Gunn's level, you've got the trades run into him. Be like, did you say Batman? What about Batman? Like the mere mention of him is cause enough to start a story and then to have these other sites write a story about the mention of that in a story. Um, like he considered Pattinson as much as he considered Godot, in that of an active Wonder Woman. That came off a very successful first movie. I don't know about the second movie's success.
Yeah.
It went straight to streaming some theaters. It was height of COVID. Eh. Pattinson's Batman is fresh still. Make
Yeah.
all the jokes you want about how long it's taken for a sequel. It's still fresh in the minds. And also what I've said on here with you before too is in the end, uh, businesses have to make money. You have this thing that has proven itself that it makes money. Why go all in on something that's not even a thing yet? Okay, apparently
Yeah.
here it's making money. That's the most important thing at the end to businesses. It is. Why mess with it? I don't know what power Matt Reeves holds. Read between the lines. He's got his hands dipped in a lot of things that are Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Conversations were apparently had. Believe James Gunn at his word that he
Mm-hmm.
talked to Matt Reeves and that they're good. There's no butt hurtness either way. And Matt Reeves, as James Gunn also even says in this article, it's just like he's slow. Let him do his own thing.
Yeah.
And also, which I appreciated the most, is God, people are mean. Leave him alone. Just let him do
Yeah.
his thing. And it's like, thank
Yeah.
you. Seriously. It's that simple.
Rolling Stone follows up and says, it's interesting. Your answer is much more present tense than I expected.
I didn't get that.
As if it's an ongoing possibility. I didn't either. Of course, I wasn't there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We talk about context and, printed words as opposed to talking one-on-one. But he has an interesting comment. He says, no, I don't. Batman's my biggest issue in all of DC right now, personally. And it's not. I'm not writing Batman, but I am working with the writer of Batman trying to get it right because he's incredibly important to DC, as is Wonder Woman. So outside of the stuff that I'm doing and the projects that are actively going, our two priorities are finishing our Wonder Woman and our Batman scripts. So, I mean, they're doing a they've announced it, Brave and the Bold. And I know the original take, was, or that Gunn said it, it's Batman and it's Damian Wayne and it's, he's this little shit and, whatever. So, yeah, Batman's I think part of the issue is you've got the Robert Pattinson, Matt Reeves Batman as well. That's part of this issue. I've called it an inconvenient success for DC Studios and Warner Brothers. That would be the Batman epic crime saga. What do you think about that?
I understand what I've read. The present tense thing, like I just said, I don't get. I reread it a couple times. I'm like, I'm just not picking up on what the writer's saying. I'll trust that the writer understands their own words, and because they're in the room talking to James Gunn. But the other stuff, I get it, and sometimes too. And people may have missed this because you and I have been doing it for a few years now. Of like, it's all connected, tongue in cheek, making fun of how important it seems to be to some people. Like, but how does it connect? But how does it connect? But how does it connect? And sometimes it's like, man, a lot of people just don't care. It's like, oh, a new Batman movie. It's Robert Pattinson. Cool. Hey, look at that. Another Batman movie. I'm not even gonna say a name because I'm not speculating anything. Hey, sometimes it's just that. Apparently, he knows the significance of getting things right and really wants to. And he even says in here, music to my ears, that Batman's the most popular character at Warner Brothers library or
at Warner Brothers.
And then he said the world. And then he said the world.
Yeah.
Most popular superhero. Spider-Man fans will get a little about it, but I was happy to hear that. And he's not even mentioning the writer, and I'm glad he's not mentioning the writer because that poor writer would just get bombarded with annoying questions constantly. And I just, okay, like if he's telling us everything, which I hope he's not, because I just think there's too much oversharing from people anymore, and people think they have a right to know what somebody's doing behind the scenes.
Yes.
Like, let the creators just create, man. We don't need to know.
That's like this.
Go ahead.
I get it all the time. It's like, well,
they should just put out a press statement updating us about the
no, they don't. They don't
have
to.
No. They've told you the Batman Part 2 is coming. They told you the release date. They're going to start filming early next year. Okay.
I don't think you need a press release for that because most people don't even know anything. So, and same thing here is most people don't even know. Most
General
people
audience
know.
has no clue. I mean, like at all about this. When the Batman Part 2 comes, they'll go, "Oh, okay, let's go see it."
And the things like we don't even know the date, the initial plan that was announced and all that stuff. I've said it to you before. They'd said then that it takes you up to, I can't remember now, 2026 or 2027. That when Gunn and Safran in that room with the reporters and they're, phase 1 or whatever you want to call it, chapter 1, the gods and monsters part. And I don't see this Brave and the Bold movies going to be coming by the end of 2027.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's fine because apparently on his part, he's like, we haven't cracked it. And I'm like, well, then don't really release a half-ass idea, half-ass movie.
I think he's pretty steadfast that they're not going to do anything that unless they believe in it, is that they believe the script is good and everything is in order. I also think they shouldn't probably have announced a lot of the stuff they did originally. When it all came out.
And I think that's an issue with that ties into the oversharing because we always know things change. They do. Like it's just natural. Things change. Hey, we had this idea, and he even said it in here too. Didn't say what it was, and he said that basically a movie got shelved. We just couldn't crack the script. Everybody was excited about it, but we couldn't figure it out. And it's like, you know what? Then good. You can't figure it out, then you're creators. And
very likely it could have been one of these things that were announced,
Yeah. Exactly.
And so
okay.
I just always like stop announcing stuff. Like movies ready to scripts done, ready to go. Let's ride. Let's go.
This Clayface thing that we just talked about was
Yeah.
one of those. They weren't expecting it. He comments
Yeah.
on that in the article too. Weren't
Yeah.
expecting it, but it just came. It just organically happened.
Yeah.
And so I understand you need it. You need Batman and Wonder Woman movies because these are properties that are important to the DC, um, to DC properties and stuff. And it's like these are two very important characters. Batman's our most important. Yeah, we need a Batman movie because that is money just sitting in the closet. We need to make some money off of this. But I'm fine that it is very much of just like I'm working with the writer. We're trying to crack that, just like with Wonder Woman. It's like,
Do
cool,
you
we don't need to
think
know anymore.
I'll preface by saying I think that more you're more open and okay with the shared universe stuff than I am. My preference is that give me DC stuff. Okay. Give me Superman. Give me Wonder Woman. Give me, Creature Commandos, which they did. I I I just would I like my preference is for them to be their own thing. I think it puts a lot less pressure. It takes I think having the shared universe is creatively stifling at times. And with like the pressure on Superman, how many times almost every article we've read how much pressure there is on Superman and everyone, Gunn and company, because it has to be this all around hit because this DCU shared universe is based on how well it does, and it's not even going to get a chance to be it's Batman Begins. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
got
I
to
get
just come out and
that.
it's got to come out and be a home run. I'm not saying $1 billion, but a home run. It can't just,
And Gunn would
so
be happy with the double. I think that was his quote. I'd
yeah.
be happy with the
Okay.
double
Well,
because
okay.
that was brought up as well. That same thing, and he doesn't like all that. He
Yeah.
likes that's not my job. Whatever. I'm supposed to just deliver the Superman movie, which is what
Yeah.
he's doing. How much information he is or isn't holding back and not commenting on, I
Yeah.
don't know. I'm not James Gunn. I'm not in the room with him.
Yeah.
I am a little bit more open just because of the fact of like it is what it is. How many comics do I read a month that are Batman that it's just like, yeah, I know, and there's a Superman comic too that technically it's the same universe, but like I'm reading this Batman comic and I'm enjoying this Batman story.
Yeah.
Um it just doesn't now when there's crossover events in order to read and understand I don't even know what there's I don't even remember what it's called right now that's happening in the world's finest and Justice League Unlimited comics. It's like you can't understand the story unless you step outside of
Yeah.
what
I
you're
hate
reading.
that.
I don't like that because
Yeah.
and I don't want movies to be that. And I think the impression on what shared universe in a movie is that's what it is when in reality it's not to that extent. You can watch Supergirl next summer and my opinion is that like you don't have to have watched Creature Commandos, Peacemaker, and
Yeah.
Superman to understand Supergirl. And sometimes people can go too far with their against shared universe, thinking that's
Yeah.
exactly what it is. It's like,
He
well, it's not to
is.
that extent. I don't
Yeah.
think it's to that extent. I
Well,
haven't watched it all
Marvel,
though.
well, I say the MCU got to that point. It's one of
Not
their
terribly.
problems. Not,
The Avengers movies, well, yeah, and we can go back and forth. That's fine. I think Avengers movies, they did have issues of, and this relates to DC, so it's all connected, Bill.
yeah.
Our detour here. Avengers movie is supposed to be a culmination of a phase, and they
Yeah.
did have some things there where it is like, well, if you didn't watch this, you won't fully understand that. And if you
Yeah.
didn't watch this, but it's a movie that is comprised of these heroes all coming together, and these heroes
Yeah.
each had their own movies.
I
So
guess
it wasn't as reliant, but it kind of was by the nature of it, though. Like,
it's like, for example, WandaVision. You had to have seen WandaVision to really get the second Doctor Strange movie.
correct, because she was a character in that. She
Yeah.
was a main character in that.
And I think they've even said we did too much and there was too much of this.
It's all connected.
you know?
Yeah. But I
And
mean,
there
Doctor
is,
Strange did. I don't know. Like, I don't know that too many people had an issue with that though, because WandaVision was successful on
well,
streaming, and
that's
Doctor
fair.
Strange was successful in the
That's
theater
fair.
too.
That's fair. Um,
S-
it's fair. He did mention, he has said before, Gunn has said before that they weren't doing, they're not doing the big build up to something
Yeah,
big, but he also has now said, you know, there's a overarching storyline,
I'm
which,
intrigued by what that means because it seems as
yeah,
if like, well, that right there seems a little combative. You know what I mean? It
yeah,
almost seems like a
it's
little
like, okay, yeah,
ironic. Of like, I don't think you can get one without the other.
I'm
But
with
I'll
you.
I'll give him benefit of the doubt.
Yeah,
Like I'll let it. He's a creator. Let him create.
yeah.
Um, that was all right. Back to the highway.
All
How do we get
right.
back on the
So,
Batman highway?
yeah. Um, he says, or he is asked, in the broadest sense, what needs to be figured out to make those two properties, that would be the Batman Epic Crime Saga and the Batman of the DCU, work? What would make it work? Batman in this universe. Uh, Batman, he's and James Gunn says Batman has to have a reason for existing, right? So Batman just can't be, oh, we're making a Batman movie because Batman's the biggest character in all of Warner Brothers, which he is, but because there's a need for him in the DCU and a need that he's not exactly the same as Matt's Batman. But yet he's not a campy Batman. I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested in a funny, campy Batman, really. So we're dealing with that. I think I have a way in, by the way. I think I really know what it is. I'm just dealing with it. I'm just dealing with the writer to make sure that we can make it a reality. So it's like he's saying, kind of unspoken, like, I'm sure people assume we're just going to do the exact opposite in terms of tone, and we're going to do a kind of a lighthearted, um, popcorn, uh, a little more on the campy side Batman, but that he's kind of saying, no, 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 I don't want to do a campy Batman, but I can't. It's got to be different than
So
Matt's
I
Batman. You
I
know?
didn't hear him say it. I read it, but it was music to my eyes when he
Yeah,
said that part of like he's not interested in campy,
yeah,
whatever other adjective that you said, and I was like, ah, mwah, chef's kiss, good. Because we've seen him do goofy stuff with comic properties.
yeah.
Some works, some doesn't. And it's like, oh, okay, that works there. I don't want to see that in Batman. I just don't want that approach with Batman. And so at least like that's something that's I don't know, nice to read that he's not interested in that.
Do
It's like,
you
okay, good.
think we've had the two Burton films, we've had the two Schumacher films, even though they're technically in the same world, but we can separate them because of the tone. We've had the Dark Knight trilogy. We've had we're in the midst of the Batman Epic Crime Saga. All are different takes on Batman. I'm not even counting the Ben Affleck. I didn't even mention
I
it,
know
but
you don't count that one because he doesn't have a solo movie.
but you can throw it in there. It's got to be. Is it also tough to do something when you talk about something we haven't seen before?
Yes.
Not just that we've seen. Not that the DCU Batman isn't. It's much different than Matt Reeves's Batman, but also not to go back and do something we've seen before in Batman Returns, Batman Forever, Batman and Robin, Dark Knight trilogy, you know?
Yeah. I think I don't envy that position because I've thought many times of like, man, if I was to write a Batman story, it'd be tough to do
Yeah.
because it does feel like they've hit the big notes.
Yeah.
Batman dealing with mobsters and then Batman dealing with crime. That to me seems almost the most Batmanish aspect, is that's where
Yeah.
it starts. And then it shifts to into Long Halloween of like from the mobsters to the freaks. And we've gotten that. We got that in the Burton Schumacher movies. Granted to various success. And so there's no saying you can't go back to that in a way, use those characters a little bit more comic booky, but in a different way. Uh, but I mean, the most revered stories I think, Batman stories, I think, have been pretty well uh, impressionable on movies. So I do think that's quite a challenge for sure.
Yeah, I think yeah, I do. I think Gunn says pretty much is saying that, I think I have a way in. I'm working
Hmm.
with the writer. We'll see. Do you think? I think that it's just my opinion, holding holding back on the DCU Batman. Don't rush it out. They're just
We're gonna have Batman in this immediately.
Yeah.
um that it gives it gives them more time to do this DCU version right. You know, don't cave into the
My
pressure of it's not like they don't have Batman live action big screen Batman content
yeah.
right now. You've got the Reeves series going.
Yeah. And that's what I was going to say too, is like my preference is we wait the Batman universe is done.
Yeah.
Again, whoever can make however many snarky comments they want on how long that'll take, I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in that universe because it's established right now. And I'm like, yeah, let that Pattinson's Batman have the spotlight for Batman. That's mine. Doesn't mean I'll be against or root against for another Batman happening. I went and saw The Flash. That had two different Batmans in it. So there were technically three live action Batmans happening on movie screens,
Mm-hmm.
like roughly the same time. And it's just like my preference is that. So yeah, that's what I would say. But I'm not a creative. I'm just a fan, and Batman is, my passion. So they say, hey, it's announced, it's coming. Here's who's playing. Of course, I'll follow it just like I do anything else Batman. But my preference is Reeves's Batman is let that fly solo.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the fact it's not lost on James Gunn. He says Wonder Woman, I think, is actually easier for me than Batman
Oh, I
because
see that for sure.
there haven't been so many infinite portrayals of Wonder Woman. Definitely not in movies, but really anywhere that there have been a Batman. Every single Batman story has been told. It seems like half the comics that have come out of DC over the past 30 years have Batman in them. That's right.
That's true.
Yeah. And it's not only that, all those the animated movies they were doing, they're very Batman heavy. He's the most famous superhero in the world and the most popular superhero in the world. And people love him because he's interesting. But also having
Mhm.
so much of him out there can make him boring. So how do you create that property that's fun to watch? I mean, yeah, I agree with everything he says there.
Yeah.
And he's also kind of sort of saying we can't oversaturate Batman. Do you pull that from that quote
Yes.
or yeah,
Yeah. And I know there's some people that are like, give me as much as humanly possible,
yeah,
but the vast majority of people I don't think feel that way.
yeah,
It makes, and we saw this with the genre as a whole of it got to be, it feel oversaturated.
mm-hmm,
And myself, personally speaking, as someone who is, keeps up in this space, it got to me of being like, I don't I don't need to go see this. I don't need to see this one. I'm not really interested. Oh,
yeah,
another one. I'm not really interested. And I think that's what you want to actively avoid is if someone that is invested in this stuff is starting to pass. And I'm just one person, but I back to your original question, like, yeah, I did get that out of him, and I was, glad to read that.
yeah. Again, as I said, it's not like they are without live action Batman content right now.
Yeah.
Also, this is purely my take. You can react if you want or not. If the success of this new DCU is so tied to Batman being in it and being in it as soon as possible, what's the point?
I think they're actively. Go ahead.
Sorry. Nothing else DC can carry this. You know what I mean?
And I think they're actively trying to make sure that maybe not even they're not trying. I was going to say all the attention right now is on Superman, which is what I think they're attempting to do, like Warner Brothers, and rightfully so, just because it's their summer movie. Like they're going for broke on it, and I think as they should. If right after that it just became all about DCU Batman, no matter how successful Superman is, if it just shifts right to Batman, it's like, well, then that is a problem, I think. So in that regard, I was telling Pete this as much as I'll say with Superman, Bill, of the Superman movie itself. I'm not going to sit here and be like, I hope that it's so successful, and I hope, because I haven't seen the movie. What if I think the movie sucks? Do I really want something that sucks to be super successful?
Yeah.
Like I'm waiting. But like if it's good and it's really successful, then it's like great. I think then it should take that weight off of Batman's back. Because that point that you just made, I do totally agree with. Of like, I don't think that this thing you're trying to create needs to rest solely on one character. When that character is overdoing this thing and doing it just fine. Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I thought I had something else, and I don't know. Maybe I'm talking too much.
No. So yeah, it's just that's where I'm like, Superman's a hit. Let the Man of Steel.
Let it ride.
Yeah, let him carry
Let it fly.
So he also mentioned James Gunn, it's like, I think he was asked about a Superman sequel, and he kind of hinted like it may not be just like a straight up Superman sequel. And then where my mind immediately went.
Justice League?
Well, no.
World's Finest. Batman vs Superman.
Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I still have what is it? PTSD. Sorry.
Who am I to talk? I shouldn't have liked Batman vs Superman, given my preference, and I did.
Yeah.
So it happens. You know what? The current live action Batman right now is solo Batman in Gotham City. How do you do something different than that? I mean, that makes sense to me, rather than just having two characters similarly doing kind of the same thing. That's how you keep it different. So, and if it's good, then okay.
Wouldn't you
if
say
I don't like it, then bye.
Wouldn't you say that this Raven the Bold, the way he originally described it, even there was no script or anything, that you have Damian Wayne, and it seems to be more of an established Batman with maybe the Batman family, quote unquote. That's different, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's different.
Okay.
Some people want that. Okay. I don't like Damian.
Yeah.
Maybe Damian's in it and he gets killed in the opening scene. Then I will be like, this is one of the best Batman movies I've ever seen.
There you go. Okay. So here's we'll finish up here. And it seems to me that this writer was kind of pushing this on Gunn a little bit. He goes, I really should clear this up. Is there still a non-zero chance that Matt Reeves' Batman will get sucked into your universe? And the way it's written is long pause. I would never say zero because you just never know. But it's not likely. It's not likely at all. I'll also say Batman Part 2 is not canceled. So he immediately goes there.
Mm-hmm.
That's the other thing I hear all the time. The Batman Part 2 is canceled. It's not canceled. We don't have a script. Matt's slow. Let him take his time. Let him do what he's doing. God, people are mean. Let him do this. Let him do his thing, man. So I don't know. Okay, this one is the one that people that there were whole articles written about.
James Gunn does not completely dismiss Robert Pattinson coming to DCU.
James
Batman.
Gunn takes a long pause.
He took a real long pause.
That means something. That
We were
means
worried about
something, Bill.
whether he was still breathing at the time.
Jeez, yeah.
Yeah. But
I joke, but I know you and I are also partially serious on that too. Of people need their clicks, and people seem to believe only what they want to believe, so they're going to read into. He took a long pause. He did take a long pause.
Yeah. My interpretation is this, and then we're gonna wrap up, and you can have.
All right.
I want you to comment. I think that Gunn would really like it, and make things a lot easier if they just folded Pattinson's Batman, Matt Reeves' Batman, into the DCU.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I don't know how he could have a Damian, because we're not at that point yet. But it's not going to happen because Matt Reeves doesn't want it. And there's so many layers to that. James could say, we're going to do it because I'm in charge of DC Studios and, we own Batman. But they want to be in business with Matt Reeves, not only DC Studios, but Warner Brothers. And he's doing stuff for Warner Brothers that has nothing to do with DC. They need him. And there's just that layer as well. So, but he's also basically, he said several times, we're not doing it. Matt doesn't want to. We're going to have a DCU Batman. He said that. He says it here. He says it's not likely. It's not likely at all. So maybe he's just being honest, saying, I can't say zero because, that would be
anything 0% chance.
Yeah, disingenuous, a little bit. But he kind of says that.
Lloyd Christmas and Mary Swanson. There's a chance there even.
Yeah. So he talks about the script, and people, when they read this, because it came out like recently.
Was that Monday?
He hasn't turned the script in yet. I thought he was turning it in Memorial Day. Let's go get some diamonds, Mr. Freeze.
That make you wonder, when was this interview conducted?
This is what I'm talking. I try to tell people.
Yeah,
these things are done weeks, if not a couple months, before they come to print. Okay.
I thought the Entertainment Weekly one even was last year. Like, and
Probably.
it even references on the set or on the shoot or something. I could have swore they said it was last year, and it's like,
those are usually
sit on this.
These are usually set visits. I mean, I did my
was
Batman set visits, the Dark Knight trilogy, and it was damn near a year before I put them out, So I saw that as well.
God damn it.
He hasn't turned the script in yet, But
never in the universe has people been so worried about a damn script.
I know, right?
Like they're readers. Like, it's oh my goodness.
It's like they got to sign off on it or something, But so chill out. It's like the thing. There's two legit reasons why this script has taken so long and why it's pushed the movie back. One was the industry strikes, WGA and the SAG. The other, I'm not going to mention because none of my business, but it's legitimate. Yeah. Okay. And so, yes, I agree 100% with James Gunn. Let him take his time. Let him do what he's doing. God, people are mean and patient. What else could we describe? Entitled, Let him do his thing, man. Yes, I agree.
I think two things that you said. One about how Warner Brothers needs Matt Reeves,
Yeah.
and then the second is James Gunn is the boss.
Mm-hmm.
It's not solely just because the like Warner Brothers wants to meet business with Matt Reeves that James Gunn wouldn't bring like overrule.
Yeah.
You know, there's something else there that he just sees because he could totally play the boss card. And in that
100%.
position, you got to look at like what's best for, and
Yeah.
for reasons that maybe he shared them all with us, maybe he hasn't, and that's his
Yeah.
business. It's not the right move to bring Reeves's Batman into his DCU. At least
Yeah.
not right now. I'm not saying that he's going to. I'm going to take him at his word of like basically just so not likely. Even after the long pause, he just as the boss, he does not think that is the right move, and
Yeah.
so people will cherry pick what parts. Some people, a lot of people will
Yeah.
read this, take it at face value. Some that are trying to create stories and drama will cherry pick which parts James Gunn was telling the truth, and then parts that that reader didn't agree with or didn't he didn't say what
Yeah.
they were hoping he'd say. They'll pick that as that's where he wasn't telling us the whole story.
Yeah.
I don't think you can do that. You either take him at his word at what he's been saying, and this Batman stuff is what he's been saying all along. And he
Yeah.
even a little hesitant of the Brave and the Bold title. I took from
Mm-hmm.
this that could even change because when he
Yeah.
mentioned about it was Superman Legacy, and he's so sick of like the colon, like superhero name
You know what?
colon another title,
I
and
did a
not just
fist pump.
Superman. Yeah,
I did a fist
I
bump
kind
because
of
I
am
hate
too.
that. I hate that.
The
It's
Batman
So,
Part Two, Electric Boogaloo, like I don't want that. Keep it
yeah.
with the Part Two part, and I'm good with that. Like it's just we don't always need the long ass titles underneath. So when he said that Part Two, I instantly went to, and then they even asked the question. I think, and he did still say something along the lines of like, "Oh, as of now, it still is Brave and the Bold."
Yeah.
That could get axed, and that's
Yeah.
fine with me.
Yeah.
And if that changes, then it's like, yeah, it's part of the process of creating. All of a sudden, that doesn't sound like a good idea to have that as a title. Well, then, yeah, nix it.
Yeah. My last public service announcement here, and we'll and
Columbo,
we'll
just one more
finish
thing.
up. It's you know, understand that these articles coming out now are part of the press machine and they were done long ago. That's number one, right?
Yeah.
And also, um, as I always say, just freaking relax and enjoy these films as they come. I say it all the time.
Enjoy the
It,
ride.
yeah, enjoy what's going on, and stop with overanalyzing everyone says, and realize this is really my main point here is that sometimes these people in these positions have to say things that are
Hmm.
professionally and politically correct, but may not be 100% truthful. You know, like when Matt Reeves, when Ben Affleck was asked if he was going to be in Matt Reeves, the Batman, and he said, I'd be an ape on the fucking ground for Matt Reeves, knowing full well that he was not going to play Batman in that film. That's
But he had
just,
to say that. He had
and
to, and I
when,
totally get it.
yeah, and just like when Matt Reeves was asked, like Josh Horowitz, which kept pressing him and pressing him about same thing, kind of here with this guy pressing Gunn about, so you're saying for sure, Robert Pattinson will never be the DCU Batman. And Reeves is kind of annoyed if you watch the video and he goes, yeah, yeah, we'll have to see about that. Just that's was his answer. We'll have to see about that. That's he's not going to. He's
It's not
just they're not going to come out and
confirmation.
say he's not going to go. No, no, you son of a bitch, never.
Yeah.
And
You
it's just
son of a bitch.
son of a bitch. Okay,
Son of a
that's it.
bitch.
All right. You have any last words on this, or would you like to move on to
I
mention
highly
anything?
encourage everybody to read it.
Yeah, read
Um,
it.
I know this is Batman-on-film.com, and or don't if you're not interested in the Superman movie at all. That's fine. Skip right to these parts. Bill's basically summarized them and we've talked about them. But I think the read as a whole is really good. The
Yeah,
interviewer
I
is
liked
really
it a
really
lot.
good. Good questions, good stuff. You get to like hear more from Gunn straight from his mouth. And I like those kind of interviews. So I definitely just encourage people to just read it themselves.
I'm with you. All right. Anything you would like to mention? I know you got a new episode of Batman Book Club with the Batman Forever comic book
That's right.
adaptation. That's going to be up on
That's right.
Batman on Film. Probably it's already there as you listen to this. Yeah. What else?
Excellent.
What else you
Yeah, there's
Oh,
that.
I really like the one with Beatty, Scott Beatty. That was
thanks.
that was really good on
The-
Batman Begins. Yeah.
Yeah, so both of those, I think by the time this drops, then Bill graciously puts them on BOF. And the Beatty one's really like that one was really fun to talk to because getting to hear his it's like the only writer of these movie adaptations of Batman, that's still around of the live action ones because Denny O'Neil did all of them before it begins. And it was really cool to hear him straight out of his mouth the process and the tight restrictions on a script and how he did get to read a script. Yes, he read a Christopher Nolan script before the
That
movie
must
was
have
out.
killed Chris Nolan.
Yeah,
completely.
And how he got to do that. How Scott had said that like doing the adaptation literally almost did kill him. He explains what he meant by that, and not necessarily a figure of speech. Yeah, and it's not just. I'd recommend it to somebody if it wasn't my podcast. I'd recommend it because I think it's pretty fun to listen to him talk about that. And then I have a really good guest returning to the show for the next episode, but I get so paranoid, Bill. By the time that this drops, I will have known if I did that episode with that guest. But as of now, when we're recording it, I just don't want to say who it is. But there's a big one coming that's for the next episode.
Okay. That's cool.
Yeah.
All right. I will mention that if you haven't checked out, speaking of Batman Forever, which I mentioned just a second ago, got the chapter by chapter, got a lot of Team Batman on Film members who contributed to that podcast for Batman Forever's 20th anniversary. And we're currently in the midst of Batman Begins chapter by chapter.
That's right.
Marking the 20th anniversary. No. Yeah, 20th anniversary of Begins and 30 for Forever.
My
there.
goodness.
God almighty. Did I say 20 for Batman Forever at first?
I don't know.
God, it seems like 20 hours ago. Anyway,
never has 10 years between two movies hit me so differently. Begins, I was legally an adult at that point for the first time, and I was a kid for Forever. And the difference of those movies is like, oh my gosh. Oh man.
That's how life goes, man. You get to be 59. All right. So other than that, let's see. I will mention I usually try. I'm bad about this. This podcast is part of the Batman Podcast Network, hosted by Batman on Film. You just go to Batman on Film, find the page on the pull down menu, and there's a bunch of podcasts like the Batman Book Club you should check out. And if you want to help support Batman on Film, in addition to just listening to this podcast, you can go to patreon.com/Batman on Film and become a patron there. And or you can buy us a coffee, right? Or I say buy Batman on Film a beer, but it's buymeacoffee.com/Batman on Film. All right, that's it. Announcer Rachel will finish here. Rachel, and we'll catch you next time.
You have been listening to the BOF Social Hour, Jett's official podcast on Batman on Film. Follow BOF on Threads at The Batman on Film. Follow BOF on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Batman on Film. To help keep BOF up and running, go to patreon.com/Batman on Film, or you can buy BOF a beer at buymeacoffee.com/TheRealBatman on Film. For Jett and everyone at BOF, I'm announcer Rachel. Authoritative, definitive, the original, Batman on Film, founded in 1998.
Batman flying night sky. Jett had a dream, now we're flying high. Since 98, it's been online. All the Bat fans gather and shine. Dark nights and Gotham tales rockets with stories and never fails. We love the bad, right from the start. Batman on film, straight to our heart. Jett's on the mission, spreading the word. Every bat flick, every unheard, classic tales and brand new Batman movies bring shades of blue. From the Joker's laugh to the hero's call, Batman time, standing tall. We love the bat, right from the start. Batman on film, straight to our heart. That family full of cheer. Since '98 we feel the thrill, keeping the bat vibes alive still. We love the bat, right from the start. Batman on film, straight to our heart.